FM News Talk 97.1.
On-demand audio.
I mentioned this to you earlier. Donald Trump made this statement this weekend.
Hillary Clinton wants to essentially abolish the Second Amendment for law-abiding Americans. She wants to overturn the Supreme Court ruling that affirmed the Second Amendment as a private right so that any city or state in this country can ban private gun ownership.
So that was Donald Trump this past weekend, and we're joined right now by Larry Pratt of Gun Owners of America. Larry, how are you?
Doing well. How are you, sir? Good to be with you.
Doing fine. Glad to have you back on the air again. Did you hear Donald make those comments this weekend, and what was your reaction?
Well, I am encouraged, frankly. I was not a Trump supporter initially. I was going to vote for him after he became the nominee because Hillary Clinton is totally unacceptable. But it seems to me that as time goes on in this campaign, he's more and more willing to articulate a fairly conservative message, and in this case, definitely sounds as if he's committed to keeping his own guns because he's a licensed concealed carry license holder in New York, and hopefully he's thinking that way about the rest of us too.
Oh, that's true. You know, I've been playing this soundbite over and over again. I'm going to play it for you here because I told my audience that it's something that I want them to hear, and I want their friends to hear it. Because Hillary Clinton comes out in her interviews with Fox News recently when she talked to Chris Wallace, and she specifically said that she doesn't want to take away anybody's guns and that she's not opposed to the Second Amendment. And then at this private fundraiser, somebody recorded her saying this.
Here again, the Supreme Court is wrong on the Second Amendment. And I am going to make that case every chance I get. So I will need your help on that.
I mean, what she's talking about there is the Heller decision.
Right.
And she wants to see it reversed.
And also the McDonnell decision, which applied essentially Heller to the rest of the country, saying that you can't ban guns. And she wants localities to be able to do that. Actually, she let the cat out of the bag in another way. She was speaking about Australia, and she said, they got it right. We ought to have something similar to what they have. Well, Australia bans about, in the United States context, be about half the guns in this country. All semi-automatic little .22 plinking rifles, all semi-automatic shotguns, all semi-automatic handguns, as well as rifles. She'd ban them because that's what they did in Australia. And you can go online and see the pictures of little mountains of guns that they piled up for destruction. That's her model.
Well, they confiscated those guns, right? Basically, you had to turn them in.
Those guns because they made them illegal. And if she thinks Australia got it right, folks, that's what's coming if she gets elected.
Well, what I pointed out is that it's going to be her litmus test for Supreme Court justices, of which she'll get to appoint at least two that we know of, because right. Justice Ginsburg, is just waiting for her to get elected so that she can retire probably.
Right.
So at least two, maybe three people. And she's not going to appoint someone who doesn't agree with her completely on this.
Absolutely. This is something that is fairly characteristic of the left. They understand that personnel is policy. All too often, Republicans come in, and if somebody has a country club membership, golly, he must be okay. I mean, even Ronald Reagan was susceptible to this from time to time. They don't make that mistake on the left. If you're not a hardcore, committed hater of the Constitution, basically seeking to, quote, fundamentally transform America, you're not going to have any place at their table.
Wow. That is just frightening.
That is the stakes of this election, and that's why, with all of my reservations about Donald Trump, I see a guy who, I got a lot of disagreements with, versus somebody, his opponent, either one of them is going to be elected. His opponent hates the country, wants to destroy it. Donald Trump doesn't, I don't think at all, have that in mind.
Yeah, I heard somebody say the other day, which I'm trying to think of who it was. It was on the, it was one of the national commentators who said, it was the congressman from Ohio, Jordan, I think is his last name.
Oh yeah, Jim Jordan.
Yeah, and he said, when I think of Donald Trump, he wasn't my first choice in the primary, but then I look at what he's saying. I look at the policies that he's put forward, and I think to myself, even if I don't agree with all of them, I look at the other candidate, and I have to ask myself, is there anything she stands for that I agree with? And the answer is no.
He puts that very well. I think everybody who's, there's a lot of ruffled feelings, and I had some of them myself after the primary, and people on the right are talking about not voting at all, which means a vote for Clinton, really, or even voting for Clinton. And I just beg people to take a look at what you're saying. You're saying you don't mind having a committed Marxist become president, a candidate who wrote her senior thesis at Wellesley College on how cool Saul Alinsky is.
Yeah.
Always the struggle, I think, was the title of it. And the only criticism she had of him is he didn't envision how to fight and bring down the country from within. Well, she became an attorney. Now, keep in mind when you're talking to folks, this attorney worked on the Watergate committee that found Richard Nixon, in so many words, to be a liar. They fired her because she was a liar.
I read that. Yeah. And a lot of people who don't even remember the bimbo eruptions of the Clinton administration, that was old history by that point. I mean, we're talking about the 70s. So
that's right.
Nobody
by the way,
remembers
those
that.
Bimbo eruptions that she ruthlessly put down. Go and see how Juanita Broderick and others were treated by this woman.
Wow.
She is ruthless.
We're talking to Larry Pratt from the Gun Owners of America. I'd encourage you to go to their website, gunowners.org. You can sign up for email alerts, and you can share your support to them as they fight for your rights. You've got a great story on here today, Larry, about it's not a great story because of the content of it, but it points out some of the problems we have around the country. In Florida, at Florida State University, 2 students were robbed at gunpoint, and they never would have had the option to protect themselves because, again, it's a gun-free campus.
It's been a big uphill fight to get legislators who otherwise have been in agreement with people carrying concealed firearms to extend that to people who can legally carry a concealed firearm 25 feet from the campus boundary, but once they come over into the campus and they're under 21 years of age, and sometimes even doesn't matter at all, any student, they can't carry. They can't protect themselves. And so criminals, being the dirtbags that they are, say, good, an opportunity zone for us, a criminal safe zone for us. And they behave accordingly. And if you think I'm making this up, consider that since 1950, of all of our mass public massacres, all but 3 occurred in gun-free zones, whether they be university campuses or libraries or churches or mainly elementary schools, or probably elementary and high school are about half of them. Gun-free zones are death zones.
Yeah, it's a good point. Larry Pratt, enjoyed having you as a guest as always. I'd again direct people to Gun Owners of America. Gunowners.org is the website. Listen, have a great afternoon.
Hey, thank you. You too.
All right, we will talk again soon. I love having Larry on here to talk about some of these issues, particularly what Hillary Clinton is really after when it comes to your Second Amendment rights. Educate yourself.